Have fun at the Tryouts, Paul. What movie was that from? Hey everybody, in this episode of the Pro Power Skating, we're going to be talking about your tryouts. How did they go? Not so good? My condolences. Really good? Congratulations. But what did you learn from it? And more importantly, where do you go from here? Coming up in this next episode of the Pro Power Skating. Hey everybody, Coach Ryan here, and I talk with a lot of parents before tryouts, way before tryouts, and more importantly, after the tryouts. Did you have options? Did you have multiple teams looking for you to sign a contract with them? Or ultimately, and a lot of us have been there, you got cut from the team that you really wanted to play for. How do you deal with it? How do you move on? And how do you take positivity and growth and opportunity out of something bad that happens to you? We're first talking about, hey, you got cut. My condolences. But everybody that I've talked to that has played in the NHL, in pro leagues, at the highest level of hockey, has told me a reoccurring theme. And you always hear it. If you talk to them long enough and if you listen close enough, if they had no struggle at some point, if they had no obstacles in their way, if everything was given to them or came easy, they never would have got to the highest level of hockey possible, right? They had to develop mental fortitude. Well, what the heck is mental fortitude? It's that mental inner drive that is not external. It's not from a coach. It's not from a parent. Now, friends and coaches and parents, they can help you develop mental fortitude, but a huge part of that, it lies within. It's kind of the same thing as I talk to a lot of parents that ask me, hey coach, when's my kid gonna flip the switch? Hey, they're 8 years old, they're 9 years old, they just haven't flipped the switch, they're not aggressive enough, they don't get in there with enthusiasm and passion. And you know what? That's okay, especially at a young age. There's a part of adolescent development that takes time that you can't push. And as a matter of fact, sometimes when you push too hard, it's detrimental to that player or that child. Each kid is going to flip the switch at a different point of their life because we're all raised different. We all have different characteristics. We have different genetics and makeups, and it all impacts us at a different time. At the end of the day, what more can you want from your child than to reach their full potential? And if their full potential is not the NHL or some form of pro hockey, your full potential might only take you to a certain level of hockey. It might only take you to the juniors. It might take you to college, but not big time college. It might be a smaller school, D3, or even club hockey, and that's okay. The most important thing is that you love the game and you reach your full potential in the game. So many players will burn out trying along the way and hurt their love for hockey. So let's dive more into the mental fortitude, right? One of my favorite movie lines comes from good old Rocky in this scene right here.
You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody.
It's a lot deeper than physically falling or getting hit in a game or falling into practice and picking yourself back up. It's where sports mimic life. right? Just like good old Rock says, it's going to beat you down if you let it, and you got to learn to push through in certain situations every single day, every single week, every single month, and sometimes even years can beat down on you. Hey, I totally get it. I have children of my own, and I know times have changed, and the way I was raised was the rub some dirt on it, quit crying, what's wrong, get tough, has totally transformed into a different type of parenting. And I know we would do anything we could to remove that pain and disappointment from our child if they got cut from a team. But here's the little secret. It is some of that pain that creates the struggle. The heartbreak is because they care so much. Now, you can dig a little deeper and find out, is it because they feel like they let themselves down? Is it because they felt like they left you down as a parent? There's a lot of different variables in there. But if you can dial it all the way back to, it's because they are hurt, you don't have to remove that hurt right away. It's time for a bowl of ice cream and maybe some tears that night. And that's fine if they deeply care about the game and want to reach a higher level. It's okay for them to feel it because they care about the game and they love the game. Now, if they're disappointed because they were looking to play on a team with their friends, that's a little bit more about the hockey family. If they're disappointed because the other team's jersey was prettier and they have a cooler logo, that's a little bit different. That's about trying to play for a brand. If it's just purely about, hey, I really wanted to play AA, I really wanted to play AAA hockey, I thought I was there, I've worked my tail off this past year, it's okay for them to feel that hurt and disappointment, right? The biggest point is how they move on from that and how long they dwell in that. Now, the most important part of that is moving on with a strategic plan, right? And taking some of that motivation and fire and turning that into positive energy. Now, I get it because that's how I was built, right? Like, I had a chip on my shoulder for always being the shortest guy out there, right? Like, I always had that inner drive. And sometimes I try to tap into that while I'm coaching. Well, some kids just don't have that chip on their shoulder. They don't have that inner aggression and meanness. I was working with a player the other day, and I said, man, you finally tapped into it. That was awesome. What were you thinking about? And he said, steak. And I said, like the food? And he's like, oh yeah, I love a good steak, coach. Well, there you go. There's nothing I can say, but it does motivate him. The only player I've seen motivated by steak before in my life so far. So ultimately, this takes a lot of talking, a lot of communication, and you got to build that bridge to try to figure out how are you going to move forward, right? Give them their time to process it, and then always come back to, hey, do you love the game of hockey? And if you love the game, then let's look at the positives. Hey, who's on this team that you already know that you're going to have a good time with? It's so easy to see things in hindsight and as an adult, right? And then looking back, I see some of the times when I got cut from a team only to be the better, stronger player on the other team and get to develop leadership roles and confidence. And that is huge in the development of a player. What kinds of things do you need to improve in your skill set? And I know some people say, Coach, my kid was better than those other kids on that team, and it was all politics. And it has a very negative connotation with it. Hey, it was political. Tryouts were political. No, to me, political can mean as little as something as a player made a team because he was on the team the year before. The coach already knows how they play, knows the parents really well, and knows what to expect, knows the product, versus someone brand new to the team or the organization where it's an unknown commodity, right? So that can be it. I mean, it doesn't have to be as thick as, oh, this was all, a conspiracy to get my kid out. I have heard some stories about that before, but it could just be as simple as we had 15 players and we were looking for 2 more. And out of those 30, these were the 2 that we had to take. So moving forward, look at a plan, find the positives, and then start to break it down. What do you see in this next year? Let's start getting excited about this next year and always start with the development. What do we need to develop to help your hockey game transform? Now, let's flip-flop that. Now, vice versa, you made a team, the highest team that you didn't think you were gonna make, and maybe that's awesome, but it's also a lot of work. So you're all fired up because you made this team, but you were one of the last people to make the team, otherwise known as the fourth line grinder. So now you're on the team with a bunch of dudes that can play hockey at a high level, and you are barely there. So you should be excited. Same thing. Don't let that excitement dwell on too long, because it's time for you to get to work. Once again, look at your skill set. Look at your skill set as what are the missing pieces versus what are the pieces I have that I can enhance. So now it's time for me to put the work in to prove that I am a huge asset to this team and I really belong and I'm valuable. So that is the way that I'm going to start building if I made one of the higher teams this year at Tryouts. Hey, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's life, and once it's in the rearview mirror, there's nothing we can do to change the facts. Whether we made the top team that we were looking to make, or we got cut and we got placed on a lower level team. I sure hope you have a fantastic season. Make sure you check out some more Pro Power Skating videos down here to help you with your development to find your next gear. And just like number 99, hope you have a great one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.